Why sensitive people struggle the most in life. Someone says something small. A passing comment. A careless word. Something they probably forgot the moment it left their mouth. But you are still thinking about it 3 days later. You are replaying it, turning it over, wondering what they meant, wondering if it says something about how they really see you. And meanwhile, they have moved on completely. They do not even remember saying it. This is the world of a sensitive person, where things land harder, where feelings linger longer, where the volume of everything, the joy, the pain, the beauty, the cruelty, is turned up in a way that other people simply do not experience. And the world has a word for people like this. Too much, too emotional, too intense, too reactive, too soft. But what if that is wrong? What if sensitivity is not a weakness that needs to be fixed, but a depth that has never been properly understood? This video is for every person who has ever been told they feel too much, and who has spent years wondering if they were right. Part 1. What sensitivity actually is. Let us start with what sensitivity actually means, because it is not what most people think. High sensitivity is not weakness. It is not immaturity. It is not an inability to cope with the real world. It is a neurological trait. Dr. Elaine Aron, the psychologist who first identified and named this trait in the 1990s, found that roughly 15 to 20% of the population is born with a nervous system that processes information more deeply than average. Not differently in a broken way, differently in a more thorough way. Sensitive people notice more. They pick up on subtleties that others miss. The shift in someone's tone, the unspoken tension in a room, the detail in a piece of music or art that makes something in their chest crack open. They process experience more deeply before responding. They feel the weight of decisions more acutely. They are moved by things, sunsets, stories, small acts of kindness, in ways that can feel almost overwhelming. This is not fragility. This is a finely tuned instrument in a world that was not built for fine tuning. Part 2. Why the world is hard for them. Here is the honest truth. The world is not designed for sensitive people. It is designed for speed, for productivity, for thick skin and quick decisions, and not taking things personally. It rewards people who can brush things off, move on fast, not let things get to them. And sensitive people cannot do that. Not because they are weak, but because their nervous system is literally processing more information than the average person's. When something happens to a sensitive person, they do not just experience the surface of it, they experience all of it. Every layer, every implication, every possible meaning. And that takes time, and energy, and quiet. Things the world rarely offers. So they spend their lives in a constant state of slight overwhelm. Crowded places feel louder. Conflict feels more threatening. Criticism lands deeper. Change feels more destabilizing. And because they process everything so thoroughly, they are often slower to respond, slower to decide, slower to recover. And in a world that mistakes speed for strength, that slowness gets misread as weakness. But it is not weakness. It is depth. It just looks like struggling from the outside. Part 3. The specific ways they suffer. Let me be specific about what sensitive people actually go through. Because it is not just about crying at commercials or getting their feelings hurt easily. It goes much deeper than that. Sensitive people absorb other people's emotions. They walk into a room and feel the mood of it before anyone has said a word. They sit with a friend who is struggling and carry that struggle home with them. They watch something painful on a screen and feel it in their body for hours afterward. They are not choosing to do this. Their nervous system does it automatically. And by the end of a day where nothing bad even happened to them personally, they are exhausted from everything they absorbed from everyone around them. Sensitive people struggle enormously with conflict. Not because they are cowards, but because conflict does not just feel uncomfortable to them. It feels genuinely threatening. Their nervous system responds to interpersonal tension the way other people's might respond to physical danger. Their heart rate rises. Their thoughts race. They replay the conflict for days, sometimes weeks, and they often go to great lengths to avoid it, apologizing when they do not need to, backing down when they should stand firm, keeping the peace at the cost of their own truth. Sensitive people feel failure more deeply. A mistake that someone else would shrug off and forget stays with a sensitive person. They turn it over. They judge themselves for it. They wonder what it means about them as a person. Their inner critic is loud, relentless, and very persuasive. And sensitive people feel the beauty of life more deeply too, which sounds like a gift, and it is. But it also means that loss hits harder, endings hurt more. Disappointment lands with a weight that can feel disproportionate to the situation. Because when you are built to feel everything fully, you feel the painful things fully too. Part 4. What they were told growing up. Most sensitive people received the same messages as children. Stop crying, you are overreacting. It is not a big deal. Toughen up, you are too sensitive. You cannot let everything affect you like this. And those messages did something. They did not make the sensitivity go away. They made sensitive people ashamed of it. They grew up believing that the way they experienced the world was wrong, that their feelings were too big, that their reactions were embarrassing, that being sensitive was something to hide, to manage, to apologize for. So they learned to perform toughness. They swallowed their tears in public. They pretended things did not hurt when they did. They laughed along when they wanted to cry. They said they were fine when they were falling apart. And they got so good at the performance that now even the people closest to them do not know how much they actually feel. They became experts at hiding the very thing that makes them who they are. Part 5. The gifts nobody talks about. Here is what rarely makes it into the conversation about sensitive people. The gifts. Because there are extraordinary gifts. Sensitive people make the best friends. Not the easiest friends, but the best ones. The ones who actually listen, who remember what you said 3 months ago, who notice when something is off before you have said a word, who show up not just in the big moments, but in the quiet ones. Sensitive people are deeply creative. Their ability to feel and observe and process gives them access to something most people cannot reach. The art, the writing, the music, the ideas that come from sensitive people carry a weight and an honesty that moves other people profoundly. Sensitive people have extraordinary empathy. In a world that desperately needs more understanding, they are the ones who can step into someone else's experience completely, who can hold space for pain without needing to fix it, who make other people feel genuinely seen. And sensitive people live more richly. The same nervous system that makes them vulnerable to pain, but also makes them capable of a joy that most people only brush the surface of. A piece of music, a perfect moment, a genuine connection. They do not just experience these things, they are transformed by them. Part 6. What they need to hear. If you are a sensitive person, you have probably spent a significant portion of your life trying to be less emotional, less affected, less intense, less you. And I want to say something about that. All that energy you spent trying to shrink your sensitivity was wasted, not because you failed at it, but because it was never the right goal. You do not need to feel less. You need a life that is built around the truth of how you feel. That means choosing environments that do not drain you. Relationships where your sensitivity is treated as a gift rather than a burden. Work that uses your depth rather than demanding you suppress it. It means learning to protect your energy without apologizing for needing to. It means recognizing when you are absorbing someone else's emotions and gently setting them down. It means giving yourself the recovery time your nervous system actually needs without calling it weakness. And it means finding the people who do not ask you to be less, because they exist. The ones who are grateful for how deeply you feel, who feel safer because of how carefully you listen, who have been waiting their whole lives for someone who actually gets it. The reframe. Sensitivity is not a flaw that survived into adulthood. It is a way of being in the world that has been misunderstood for most of your life. The world told you that you were too much. But the truth is, the world was not enough for you. Not enough quiet, not enough depth, not enough honesty, not enough space to feel what you actually feel without being told to feel less of it. You were not broken by your sensitivity. You were shaped by it. Into someone who notices what others miss, who feels what others avoid, who loves in a way that most people only read about. That is not a burden. That is a gift so rare that most people will live their entire lives without knowing what it feels like. You know, and that, no matter how much it has cost you, is something worth keeping.